Hey folks, this is Kalani. After an attempted kitty sniper attempt, we're actually making a video. Now, I apologise if this microphone sounds a little strange. I'm having to use my old headset because my cat apparently does not like my other headset. So, what we've got is a balance preview. Now, we had one of these previously, except they essentially told us what they'll be doing in the previous one. In this one, they're saying, right, December 10th, we're going to have a bit of a balance patch, but we're giving you everything that we've planned thus far, giving you the reasons behind it, and then we're going to have a discussion thread. So this is a complete open discussion thread, as long as you adhere to the little good feedback and what to expect rules they've put: constructive, concise, specific, objective, respectful, mindful of scope, and mindful of context. So hopefully we'll get a lot of good discussion over here, simply because people may want to have a little insider experience, I guess, for essentially what's happening to their class. So I'm not going to go over this in great detail, give it a little bit of an overview. I don't want this video to ramble on like some of my others, but if you want to check it out, I'll put a link to it below as per usual. What's interesting though is that they've already got extended explanations for their choices, and essentially they're saying, well, we want to do this and change this because this, which is really nice, and they've got those for all the classes, so I'm not going to do anything about those because obviously that's class specific. I'll just throw links to all of those in the description, so check out the description below. You've got the overview and you've got all the classes there. So, Elementalists are having their attunement recharge taken down, and the attunement recharge change on Arcane is getting lowered. So, baseline recharge is 13%, and you can reduce that down to 10%, whereas before, or currently, it's 16 down to 10 with full Arcane. Basically, a lot of these changes and balance fixes to bring other builds into line. So it skims the super OP ones off the top and pulls everything else up. So you've got, the aim is more diversity. So that's what all of this is really going for. So most of these are actually going to be PvP related, but obviously some of them will affect PvE quite considerably. For example, the Elementalist one, having the attunement cooldown lowered as a baseline, is going to mean people may be happier to run things like the hammer spec, where you don't spec into Arcane at all. I personally hate that because I love the really short cooldowns on the attunements, but basically the other things they're doing is to put some of the more powerful water and arcane traits into the other ones. So you're getting a nice mix around of the traits, so it's not necessarily required to go full arcane or deep into water to get some of these traits. Now, obviously, as I say, I'm just going to give this a brief overview. You can check it out in detail for yourself from the links below. So, engineers, they're having some of the randomness taken out. So, they're taking out some of the random effects of some of the class's traits. And the biggest change is allowing modified ammunition to work with any skills, so that an engineer, regardless of build, can look at putting 30 points into firearms. Now, the other big change is that they will bring down the total uptime for Vigor due to its interaction with invigorating speed, meaning that Vigor is not going to be 100% uptime. It's going to be quite a bit lower uptime than what it is currently. Guardians, they seem pretty happy with tank and support Guardians, although they want to explore other things for offensive Guardian builds, but they don't want to give them too much power, but they have opened up some more offensive options. Mesmers are bringing up some of the support traits and condition removing traits, and reducing dependency on certain trait lines. So, once again, diversity, they're throwing traits about, trying to move them a little bit, and they're playing about with mantra traits, which is really interesting. Moving mantra mastery to adept tiers takes some trait pressure off of the dueling line, allowing mantra mesmers to gain a good trait with only 10 points. Mantras are pretty fun to roll with, I'll be honest, from playing my mesmer, but as I say, picking up and making them really strong is kind of awkward at times. But for the Necromancer, that they're going to change a few skills and traits which were too powerful. They're bringing down some raw DPS conditions that Necromancers enjoy, but they're going to maintain pressure and sustain elements. They want Necromancers to be in a place where they can sustain themselves through Death Shroud, siphoning health, and slowing down their opponent's ability to act. Wow, ranger changes! So many quite a few ranger changes. I hope the decent changes for you. I don't know, I don't play ranger, but they've adjusted the placement of some traits so that rangers should have more build combinations. As I say, a lot of diversity aims here. They're swapping Nature's Vengeance and Spirits of the Unbound, so that rangers can have Spirits follow you in Tier 2. Players can now opt out of the higher damage output from Spirits and still have options elsewhere. The other change is they're bringing up some marksmanship and a skirmishing trait to make power specs more appealing, and they feel that they have too much endurance regeneration through traits. So they're going to bring down endurance regeneration again from the passive effect of Sun Spirit and the active effects for Storm Spirit. So again, having people dodge all day is something they clearly don't want. Thief is an interesting one. Thief is having some traits which boost initiative changed, and they're kind of taking the initiative out of there, but they're putting in a generic rate of initiative by, like, it's going to increase by 33%, which is really interesting because Thief is one of those where they're directly limited by their resource, and if you give that kind of a staple 33% increase, that's kind of ridiculous, let's be honest. The other things that they're changing is Vigor uptime once again, and they're adding a cast time to Shadow Return skill on their sword. So it's trying to stop them jumping around constantly and dodging everything. The other things are initiative gaining while applying stealth, while already in stealth, so you can't like perma stealth and get all your initiative back, or that's what they're trying to help kind of push away. So perma stealth is going to see a bit of a hit, but I'm assuming you'd get over it anyway. So warrior, the goal is to reduce the damage for very high control warriors. So essentially we're going to have to choose between insane damage and insane control, because right now we can do a good amount of each, which is apparently overpowered, and let's be honest, it kind of is. They're also going to increase the readability of Skullcrack, which will allow opposing players to more easily react to it. And Combustive Shot is getting a bit of a rework. It will scale better with adrenaline levels and still provide strong burning per adrenaline level, but the raw damage was toned down a little bit. So that's pretty much everything for all the classes. As I say, there's detailed analysis and explanations in all of the class forums. I'll link those in the description below. But that's it for this video. What do you think about this? I personally like it because they're essentially saying, look, we want to do this because of this. What do you think? And it's really enforcing this community interaction, which ArenaNet definitely seems to be going for in the recent weeks with all their forum posts, which is really, really cool. It's kind of interesting. It's probably the first instance where developers have openly said, look, we're going to open the forums for mass discussion, and we're going to take what you're saying on board, which is cool. Until someone says they want something which is really weird and bad, and then they put it in the game and everyone complains, and then they get rid of the whole system anyway, which I hope won't happen. But you never know with people. Who am I kidding? We Guild Wars 2 players, we're cracking folk, we're amazing. But that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, folks. Good luck and have fun, and as always, I will see you next time.